episode number 25 of Rush Roundtable. Today we got three guests on. We've got Ryder, we've got Tristan, and we've got Rian Jr. We call him Rian Jr. Today's topic is basically introducing a new fan to Rush. So it's kind of a hypothetical situation here. So you're tasked with jump-starting a new fan's fandom by providing them with 2 full albums or records, 5 songs that are not on those albums, and then a live DVD to supplement your choices. But first, I'm going to let Tristan and Ryder introduce themselves. They have not been on yet. So, Tristan, why don't you go and take it away? Maybe tell us your favorite song, album, a couple of shows you've been to, whatever you want to say.
Sure. So I'm Tristan. I'm from Toronto. It's a pleasure to be on here. Thank you so much for having me. One song that I really love, that I'm really hooked on right now, is probably Mission from Hold Your Fire. And one album that I've just been listening to nonstop is Grace Under Pressure, for sure. And one live DVD that I've always adored was the live tour from Grace Under Pressure. So I just found that there's a lot of energy on that. There's a lot of positive vibes, and just the interaction between the crowd and the band is amazing.
Yeah. My favorite part of that whole thing, other than the music, is when Alex is like spinning around on the floor where
Weapon, right?
Yeah, the Weapon, Count Floyd.
Yeah.
Saying, look at that guy dancing, he's scary too. And it's like,
He's scary
Alex.
too.
Yeah.
Ryder, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ryder. I'm from Cleveland. Picking a favorite song is kind of extremely difficult, but I'm going to go with Force 10 from Hold Your Fire. Yeah, great. And I guess album that I've been listening to a lot is Hold Your Fire. And since I'm a younger guy, obviously I haven't been able to go to any Rush shows, but the one I'll always hold like super close, Rush in Rio, because because of obviously the song selection is incredible, but B, just the sheer energy that's in the crowd. As a musician, that's what I strive for when I play for live. I want to have just that kind of connection with the audience, which is just amazing, and it's perfectly displayed on that live DVD.
Awesome. The two guys with favorite songs from Hold Your Fire. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now we'll tell you a song that we're currently hooked on, or if there's not a song that you're currently hooked on at this time, we'll just give a shout out to a deeper track for someone that perhaps hasn't heard that song in a while. So, Junior, why don't we start with you?
Okay, so I've actually have 2 songs. I have one for like earlier in the day and one for later. So my earlier of the day song is Lock and Key. I really like that one. Another Hold Your Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then my later is Countdown. I watched like the music video and stuff. I really love, I love that keyboard. I really like that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Kira?
Okay, so I have 2 songs too, just like Ryan Jr.'s. Okay, so my 2 are Cinderella Man from A Farewell to Kings. I was outside dancing to What's Making Outdoor Cycling the other day. Just a good song.
Yeah.
And then the other one, actually, last night I was getting ready for bed. I was in the bathroom. My cat Bella was with me. I featured her in a couple of videos, and Roll the Bones came on, and it's such like a catchy song that I actually grabbed her and started dancing with her, and she was kind of looking at me like, I don't know what we're doing, but I'll totally talk. Roll the Bones is a great song, and it's got a really good kind of like upbeat vibe that I really like, and then the rap part I just think is goofy. Yeah, so those are my 2 songs.
New topic. Just best songs to dance with your cat to.
Yeah.
Tristan, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. So I have 2 songs as well. Definitely one from the earlier period. It's definitely Circumstances. I love that song. I mean, that whole Hemispheres album is amazing, but Circumstances, for me, at this moment, stands out. And then one a little bit later in the catalog is definitely Armor and Sword from the Snakes and Arrows.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the instrumentation and everything in it. And that was actually about the time that I became a fan, so
Okay.
a special fan. So
Sweet. Ryder?
So also have two songs. Number one, Between the Wheels from Grace Under Pressure.
Yes.
So good. Probably my favorite song on that album. And Where's My Thing from Roll the Bones. So much fun to play, dance to, whatever. It's just great tracks.
So, funny story for the watchers. So when Ryder sent me a message and said that he wanted to be on this one, or wanted to be on the Roundtable, he said that he was fairly new as a Rush fan. So I took it as, okay, he's fairly green as a Rush fan too. So I thought this would be the perfect episode for him to come on and tell us kind of how he got into Rush and what he's listening to at this moment or whatever, and we could turn him on to more Rush. But turns out he's just new and not new at all, and you know, he likes Between the Wheels, and earlier he was telling us about Kid Gloves, so he's one of us already. So I'll say that mine that I'm currently hooked on is Virtuality from Test for Echo. Just randomly came across, I was watching just some Rush videos on YouTube last night, and it's from, I believe the video is like kind of a bootleg from a Test record tour that I don't think ever made it as a DVD, so I think there's just some footage out there because it was shot as a DVD. It wasn't like just someone's crowd footage. But anyways, it was pretty cool to see, pretty cool to watch. Jim?
Wait,
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Whenever I do that line in Virtuality, like put your message in a modem, that kind of makes me laugh because it's kind of outdated.
That's
like,
so 90s. Yeah,
Yeah, so 90s.
Oh,
very,
you
very
guys,
90s.
you guys did never experience the 300 baud modem. For any of the older guys watching this, they've experienced the 300 baud modem.
I wasn't even
Terrible.
alive.
Yeah. 2002 Vapor Trails.
All right, so for my song, I just have one, but it's in three parts. Natural Science.
Yeah.
I was listening to it the other day, and I was just sitting doing nothing but listening to the song, and it's amazing. Just listening to the instrumentation and the different type signatures they go into and everything. I'll try not to geek out too much, but it was great, and I realized how cool that song truly is.
For sure. That's a masterpiece. Cool. So, onto the topic, providing a new-ish Rush fan or someone that has never heard anything other than Tom Sawyer, I guess, with 2 full albums, and then 5 songs that are not from those albums. So, kind of want to get creative there. And then a live DVD, basically, to supplement that. And the whole point of this is for someone new to jumpstart the fandom. I mean, I follow the Rush Reddit feed, of course, and I've seen a lot of people on there saying, hey, yeah, new to Rush, where should I start? Or I've seen, this general topic show up quite a bit. So I thought, what better way than to record a video on this, and then once we finally post this, I can start replying to people's Reddit posts with this video. So, yeah, I don't have any specific order here as to who wants to go first. I mean, but probably we'll start with the guests. So, Ryan, why don't we start with you?
I'll go last. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. So, obviously, wait, what should I start off with? The 2 albums?
Probably the 2 full albums, yeah.
Okay. So, obviously, Moving Pictures. It's the first one you should ever introduce to a Rush fan. They have to know Tom Sawyer and Limelight first. I mean, that's like, those are the first songs I've ever heard, and that's what's made me a Rush fan. And then, so Moving Pictures, and then I think 2112, to be honest. I think you have to get a sense of they're like really, or they're like 70s, more like, but I didn't really choose any from like the 90s and the 2000s. Because I thought you kind of have to you don't really start there. You kind of have to get them on to like the hits and stuff. And then you move on from there.
Okay.
And then I guess 5 songs would be The Spirit of Radio, because that's not on either. And then Free Will, Fly By Night, probably Time Stands Still. And then maybe like Distant Early Warning or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Subdivisions.
Okay. How about a DVD to go along with it? What would you recommend?
Probably ESL, because you have to, it's like, if you're going to listen to like moving pictures, you have to get it with like the whole era. So you kind of combine things in the same, era.
Sure. I like it.
Cool.
We'll go Ryder.
All right. So the two albums that I chose were Signals and Permanent Waves. I think those two albums kind of back to back. Permanent Wave, I actually flip it around. Permanent Waves should probably go first because that's Permanent Waves definitely a core Rush sound. That's when they I think personally that's when they really locked in who Rush was, and obviously it's accented even further by Moving Pictures. And then Signals I added because obviously that's when they really entered the synth era, but it's still that classic Rush sound. So I think those two albums are probably great points to start off. And then for my 5 songs, I chose A Passage to Bangkok, Red Barchetta, Far Cry, Closer to the Heart, and Time Stands Still. All songs to just kind of go throughout like the different eras and sounds of Rush. Passage to Bangkok, Red Barchetta obviously go to the older stuff. Far Cry, the newer, heavier stuff. Closer to the Heart, you go way earlier. You get the more acoustic, more like I would you say developed kind of era. And then Time Stands Still, it's just solid track. Time Stands Still is just great.
For sure. So I find it interesting that you didn't list anything from Moving Pictures other than Red Barchetta.
Yeah, so, well, obviously with the whole, like, anything that isn't Tom Sawyer, but I think, well, my story with Rush was the first song that I ever, like, sat down and really listened to was A Passage to Bangkok. That was where my start came from, and this kind of mirrors that. This was kind of the same flow chart that I had.
Okay.
So I just wanted to share my experience with that.
Sure.
And then the DVD that I had to supplement it was R30. I think that covers an amazing set list. Just great energy. Overall, just an amazing show.
Absolutely. That was a DVD that introduced me to Rush. Well, Fly By Night got me into Rush. Long story short, you by the time this is posted, you will have seen this on a previous Roundtable that is not yet posted at the time of this recording. See that map in your head. No, so yeah, Fly By Night is what got me into Rush, and then I got into R30. That's not my choice, but Tristan, why don't you go next?
All right, so my first album seems to be kind of a popular one, as the others have mentioned already, but my first one is Permanent Waves. It showcases both the progressive and radio-friendly side of the band, which I think there's a really great balance between the two. I love how it pays homage to, then modern artists like the Police. I remember Neil was saying that he was very much influenced by Stuart Copeland and the Police and his drumming. Some tracks on there like Jacob's Ladder and Different Strings and Natural Science, those 3 stand out to me because they're just very well crafted. Especially Jacob's Ladder. I actually did a cover of Jacob's Ladder with my band not too long ago, which was really well done, and it was a really great track to do. And I noticed that in Permanent Waves, the band showed a climax in the maturation of Geddy's voice. It kind of came to that kind of settled kind of tone. And there was just a great balance between guitar and keyboards, I find. Balancing the synth era with, the regular guitar-driven sound. And then another one that I don't really know if a lot of people would kind of put on their list, but I put Presto as my second one. And the reason why I did that was because I love how time and time again Rush proves that they're able to evolve and keep up with the times, and they're still able to sound uniquely Rush. So with that album, they kind of mixed in the 80s pop rock sound and characteristics. Again, for me, there's a great balance between guitar and keyboards on that album. And another great turning point for me on that album was I feel that Neil kind of really honed in on his lyric writing, especially in songs like The Pass. So that's definitely a staple for me. The songs that I chose were, I chose songs that kind of spanned their category, their category, pardon me. And from their earlier stuff, I have Anthem. It encompasses the early years and their youthful energy. And just overall, it's a great rocker, it's a heavy song. And then I decided to throw in an instrumental in there, so I put La Viola Strangiato. It's a really great track, it's proggy, it's full of amazing energy, and it really showcases their talents as well. And then I kind of put these in order as well, chronologically. So, and the third song I chose was The Analog Kid. It showed a really great balance between guitar and keyboards, and just showed a great, they honed in on their sound as far as, you know, a good balance between prog and, you know, keeping up with the times. I decided to throw a ballad in there, so I put in Emotion Detector from Power Windows. That song, for me, really showed their creative outlet as a major part of their songwriting. Like, they weren't just in it to make a song and that was it. They really took the time to create a song that was really well thought out. And then for me, the last song was Driven. It was a return to the guitar-oriented sound, and it's really accessible, and it's just an overall great tune. And then for me, one live DVD that I would recommend is the Grace Under Pressure tour. And as I was saying earlier, it definitely showcases bands, how they were really mastering their live act, how they were as a live act. And it was really just great to see the interaction between fans and the band.
Awesome. So you're starting to potentially influence my 5 songs. I might change my 5 songs here on the fly. Not my albums. I have those set in stone. But Kira, why don't you go ahead?
Okay. Well, I got a lot to say, people, so buckle up.
Oh no.
I know
I'm ready.
Some notes. I'm not going to sit for 20 minutes just babbling. That'd be so boring.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, funny enough, one of the albums is Power Windows, and I just decided to wear the Power Windows shirt, not by coincidence. Anyway, so I actually started off with the DVD and then the albums, and then went from there with the songs, because a lot of songs I would recommend are in the live DVD and in the 2 albums. And then I could pick songs that weren't in either, because I wanted to make a list that was really well-rounded, that included hits, epics, instrumentals, deep tracks, everything. So for my live DVD, again, I got my notes over here, I chose Rush in Rio. Kind of have personal bias with that one, because that is like my favorite live DVD. That's what I grew up listening to, and when I became a Rush fan, then I went back and watched it over and over again. But really, in short, the crowd is just insanely energetic, which just adds to it. You know, it was their first tour after the hiatus that they took for 5 years, so it was a really big victory, and I feel like the energy between Geddy, Alex, and Neil, there's just something really special there. Also, the track list on that tour just really represents Rush really well. It's a very well-rounded track list. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. You got 3 instrumentals, including La Via Strangiato, YYZ, Leave That Thing Alone, you got Natural Science, you have The Trees. You basically have a little bit from every album up to Vapor Trails in that one track list, and it's just really well-rounded and has some of Rush's best songs that every fan should know, plus deep tracks. So I think if you listen to that as a new fan, you really get a sense of who Rush is. So that's why I picked that one. So for albums, I picked Power Windows. I'm wearing the shirt, just like I said. Really simply put, because in my opinion, this is subjective between every Rush fan, but that's kind of the climax of the synth era. You know, Geddy said that for him, that was the essential blending of keyboard and guitars, and that's a very important era in Rush's catalog and throughout their history that every fan should know about. Plus, I think the album is just absolutely beautiful. You got Manhattan Project, Big Money is great, Mystic Rhythms is totally bomb. It's just a beautiful album overall. So then my other album is Clockwork Angels, because I just think Clockwork Angels has like everything you could ever want in a Rush album. It's a whole concept album. It's not just like 2112 and there's one song. You got the whole album. The story is amazing. It's really heavy, which I love. It just really sucks you in whole and you don't let go, but it also has a little bit of slower songs like Halo Effect and even Wish Them Well is a little bit slower. So after that, I decided to choose just some songs that weren't in the DVD or in the albums. Got some deep tracks. So I got Far Cry as my first song because Snakes and Arrows isn't in Rush and Rio. They haven't written Snakes and Arrows yet, so I figured I should have a song from Snakes and Arrows. So I chose Far Cry. Got Prime Mover from Hold Your Fire. Had to represent Hold Your Fire. That song is so underrated. I don't hear it talked about enough. Hold Your Fire is just underrated in general. But I really love Prime Mover and like the theme of the journey of life. And then from Signals, I chose Digital Man because that also doesn't get enough love in the bass line when you start that song. Oh my God. I was listening today, it just gets you going. Oh my gosh. So I feel like if someone's a bass player, they really, really latch onto it.
Sorry to interrupt, but
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay.
I spent
Are you guys
hours
both
on
bass
this.
players? Tristan, are you a bass player too?
I actually am a drummer, but I've kind of picked up the bass over time. So.
yeah, I started with keys, went to bass, and then self-taught myself everything else. Like I have a Strat over there just chilling that I jam out with a lot, but primarily bass.
Slap the bass, big time.
Awesome.
I got 2 more songs for y'all, and then I'm done rambling. Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, I rudely interrupted.
No. You guys are fine. You can interrupt me as much as you want. I tend to ramble sometimes because it's Rush. All right,
you guys want to go take a break then?
We need to take a short break for some brain surgery. We'll be back.
I'm almost done. And then I wanted to have another song from Counterparts because I went through all the songs in the Rush Room DVD and labeled what album they're from. There's only one song on there, so I wanted to bring in another song from Counterparts. And I know Animate's kind of a hit, but I just love the drive of the drums, and it's very heavy, and it's just a fantastic song. And then my last song, this was a toss-up, but I decided to choose Available Light because it's never played live. It's more of a ballad. It's just a really underrated classic by Rush that's really deep in the catalog that no one ever talks about, so I figured why not bring a song in like that for a new Rush fan? So I really wanted to make a list that had, just a little bit of everything. I could have recommended more, but I think what I came up with is pretty good. So that's my rambling. Now,
Awesome.
Jim, I'll let you go last. We'll save the best for last because I'm sure that your explanations are probably going to be better than mine because mine are just going to be coming out of my head. I'll first tell a quick funny story. My buddy, who's my best man at my wedding, we were on our way to my camp, which is like a 2-hour drive. And I was like, hey, check out. He knew that I liked Rush. I'm like, hey, you want to listen to Rush? Sure. So just so completely green. Like the only song he knew at the time was Free Will. So, and I said, here, check out this song. And you know what I put out? I put out Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres. I was like, check out this song. And it was like a 2-hour drive. We had like 30 minutes left to get there. So they here, just check out this song. Funny enough, he actually liked it. But anyway, so that's not on my list because that's kind of an unconventional way of introducing somebody to Rush. So I chose Moving Pictures and I chose Clockwork Angels. And the reason being is because I chose Moving Pictures because your Roll the Bones is not playing and your cat's not with you, what are you doing?
I'm excited. You chose my favorite album that made me a Rush fan forever.
No, so Moving Pictures, because it's widely regarded as like the Rush album, right? Like probably the most popular Rush album, and it has quite a few hits in Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, and Limelight.
YYZ, where I'm from.
Fair. I was waiting for someone to correct me. No, so.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's right. Moving Pictures, and then because it kind of also represents early-ish Rush compared to Clockwork Angels, which is the latest album with The Cure's Point. I mean, I think I couldn't have said it any better. It pretty much incorporates all things great about Rush. You've got a concept album, you've got hard rock, you've got fantastic musicianship on it, a great ender in the garden, and I think it just is perfect for plus it's the most recent album too, so it's easiest to, if that new fan is going to go in and start watching interviews or start watching, well, I guess YouTube, you're gonna have, there's more content from recent present day than there is from 1981, right, or anything back in the day, in general. So and now the 5 songs that I chose were The Spirit of Radio, Free Will, and I chose those 2 because I think they're not only hits but fantastic songs. I think they're both just very awesome introductory songs. They kind of highlight, in my opinion, that transition from the heavy Geddy Lee screeching era from prior to Permanent Waves, and it kind of moves them into the synth era. And then I chose Subdivisions because I feel like that song is relatable. Potentially all of us as Rush fans can relate to it in one way or another. We're all kind of bound by our passed outness, for lack of a better term. And then I chose Dreamline and Bravado from Roll the Bones. I think that they are, now those 5 songs that I chose, I think they're all kind of easily relatable in terms of you don't really need to dive too far into the lyrics to know what's being portrayed or what's being said. So with Dreamline and Bravado, I mean, they're both on Roll the Bones. They kind of have similar era sounds, but also drastically different in ways too. And they both have fantastic Alex solos. Now, for the DVD that I chose the Clockwork Angels DVD because I wanted to supplement the albums that I chose. So, okay, new Rush fan, here you go. Here's the 2 albums that I chose and 5 other songs. A lot of those songs from Clockwork Angels, from Moving Pictures, and the 5 songs that I chose were represented on the Clockwork Angels DVD. So, to me, I think it would be easy for that fan to make that connection. Okay, here, I've listened to it. Now I can go watch it. So, Tom Sawyer, Limelight, YYZ, almost all the Clockwork Angels album, The Spirit of Radio, Subdivisions, The Dreamline, and Bravado were all played on the Clockwork Angels. Free Will was not. And Red Barchetta, I don't think Red Barchetta was played on Clockwork Angels.
No.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I chose that DVD to go kind of hand in hand with the albums and the song choices, so it can kind of be, the fan, the new Rush fan can kind of tie it all together and also see, the progression of the band in terms of, as Tristan mentioned, how the band started to become an on-stage act in around Grace Under Pressure time, but you can kind of see that I think even more as they progress throughout their career, especially with the silliness of Alex on stage, which is always really awesome to see too. But Jim, why don't you go ahead?
All right, yeah. So I'm going to start by saying that I promise teacher, I did not copy from Kira or promise I didn't. And you'll see why I'm saying that statement. So for my albums, I picked Moving Pictures and Clockwork Angels. So, I mean, Moving Pictures, what can you say? I mean, that's like the quintessential Rush album. That's, I mean, in the, if you ever watched the 2112 and Moving Pictures album special, Neil said that Moving Pictures has sort of arrived complete. I mean, that's really what they view, I think, as a masterpiece. And in addition to the songs that are, I'll show my age here, on side 1 of the LP, the side 2 of the LP is excellent. I mean, those are just fantastic things. And Clockwork Angels, Kira pretty much said almost all of it already, what I was thinking. It is a concept album. That's okay. It's got some really heavy rockin' songs like The Anarchist, one of my favorites off of that.
Mhm.
It's got some slower tunes like The Garden, which like nearly every time I listen to it, it'll bring me to tears. So I just think those albums are fantastic. For the songs, I started with Xanadu. It's the only one I picked from that 70s era. It's one of my favorites. Just great parts of the song, great arrangement. I absolutely love it. And the Exit Stage Left version, I actually like a little bit better than the studio version. Analog Kid, it's really driving song, and it's got such a great guitar. So Distant Early Warning, a little bit more shout out to Grace Under Pressure. I love the Grace Under Pressure shout outs we've been having this episode. To me, this is really, and I know not everybody views this way, but this is really kind of the start of the real synth era of Rush. There's a very, very prominent synths on it. And Tristan, I think you mentioned that Rush kept changing with the times, but still sounding uniquely Rush. And to me, when all of the new wave stuff was happening in the mid 80s, this was kind of, in my opinion, was Rush's answer to it, but still sounding very much like Rush. I've got Animate. It's just hard rocking and heavy. Yeah, I just love how that opens up that album, and I love that album. And then
Junior
Driven.
over there. Junior's
Yeah, I
on
know. I
the beginning
saw him dancing. And then Driven. It's such a great tune. There's repeating themes throughout musically. Neil's drumming is so incredible on that, and just the subtle changes that he does throughout the song is amazing. But I don't. That's not part of this. Anyway, and there's one person who does not like Rush, my wife, who loves that song. So there you go for that tune. And the live DVD. And the live DVD that I chose was Snakes and Arrows.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of my favorite set lists. I mean, they start off with Limelight, and Alex is being goofy with it. Actually, the band decided to do this, right? So they were being goofy with how they started it. And then they go into Digital Man, and then they go into Entre Nous. I was like, oh my gosh, I was
Is it
just
Snakes
in
and Arrows
heaven.
where that started with Limelight, correct?
Right, yeah.
Where Alex played the first part of Limelight and then just paused because getting
He
out
just
on
waited.
stage is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Getty comes out, and you can see him mouth, "Thank you," and then he continues doing it. I think it's so great. So those are why I chose those albums and the songs. I tried to not overlap and repeat. I mean, there's quite a few great songs for Permanent Waves on the live DVD. So that's why I didn't include any of those songs in my songs, because I figure, all right, they'll get them. But Ryan, I like your idea of, all right, you've listened to the song, now experience how it would be live.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool too. I like that.
I mean, I forgot to mention, I specifically did not choose any instrumentals or any other than YYZ, just because I'm a version. But I specifically didn't choose epics or instrumentals because in this hypothetical scenario, I didn't want to overload the fan with too much Rush either and turn them away, right? So I wanted to give them some hits, some hard rocking songs, and then here go supplement it with the DVD and not, I also, yes, I could have spanned the whole catalog, but Getty's voice changed Rush changed, you know, the sound of songs changed. So I didn't really want to go. Like I said, I didn't really want to overload this fan or in this hypothetical scenario with too much ever changing Rush either. I totally.
Right.
I mean, this is all just opinionated, right? And I totally understand why you guys wanted to span the whole catalog too. So I mean, it's really just, and again, I mean, whoever your hypothetical fan is, I mean, I'm sure we probably all envision someone when doing this as to who we can share this with or whatever. But I mean, I think it all depends on them too. I mean, so the same guy my buddy that I played Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres for as like the first Rush song. I sent him a bunch of songs from Power Windows in the last. I sent him a Motion Detector. I sent him Middletown Dreams. I think I sent him Grand Designs, and he's like, "All right, cool. These are all great. I'm gonna add them to my like my daily playlist. Like these are cool." So I was like, "Do you want some more?" But I didn't want to overload him. Like that was the thing. I didn't want to like say, here's like 20 Rush songs, you know. So progressively try to get him into it, but yeah, I mean, anybody else got anything they want to add that they weren't able to add in their talk?
Well, maybe. Go ahead, Ryan. Go, Junior.
Oh wait, you go first.
I was just gonna say that, you know, what's the part of the reason I chose the songs and the albums I did is because once you introduce somebody to a band like Rush, who has a very vast catalog, if they enjoy what you've introduced them to and what they've listened to and what they've watched, they're going to start to delve into the other parts of their catalog. And they're going to, like my earliest was Xanadu, right? So they're going to go back to Farewell to Kings, and they'll go to 2112. They'll get to Lakeside. I'm sorry, the Caress of Steel, you know, and things like that. They'll get into those other areas as well.
Mm-hmm. And then I'd like to clarify like my choices again, because you know, I feel like I was being a little bit confusing. I'll blow through them really quick. But quick side note, like my philosophy is that, you know, these are the first songs that you're going to hear. So it's like, it's not like the first, like this is the first wave of Rush song. It's like the first like actual like play in the car. So my albums stayed the same. 2112, those kind of their breakthrough, like their protest kind of album. Protest. Mm-hmm. And then Moving Pictures, because yeah, it is the essential album. And then my 5 songs, I mean, I was going off the top of my head earlier, so I've been thinking about it, and it's probably Fly By Night, Close to the Heart, Spirit Radio, Free Will, and then Subdivisions. Just I'll keep it in that like era. And then my live is still Exit Stage Left or like Grace Under Pressure. That's it.
Yeah.
I thought about putting like Permanent Waves or even Moving Pictures as one of my albums, but because on the Rush and Rio track list, there's already so much of that on there, I was like, well, I kind of want to include Power Windows, so I might as well, you know, pick an album that wasn't really represented, but I almost chose Moving Pictures too. Plus, if you have someone like my mom who doesn't like really heavy rock, but she doesn't really like Clockwork Angels, not because it's a bad album, she just doesn't like heavy stuff. I thought Power Windows would be a really, really good choice. But I mean, I wanted to say all of your guys' choices were spot on. It's kind of interesting. We had a lot of the same like ones and ideas. I almost put Subdivisions too for my songs, but I really wanted to include Digital Man because it's a deeper track that doesn't get talked about. I hear Subdivisions on Pandora all the time, so why not pick something else? So that's just my thoughts, but I think
we all had similar ideas, but different, you know, in a way. I mean, similar thinking, but different songs. Like I say, the more that things change, the more they stay the same.
Yes.
Cool. Anything else anybody wants to add before we wrap up?
No, I was so close to putting Hold Your Fire for my one of my 2 albums.
They give you the album right back and say, nope, not interested. I love Hold Your Fire. That just
Yeah.
seems to be the general consensus that I've
Yeah.
seen, especially on Reddit and these discussions. People are like, "Oh, don't listen to Hold Your Fire. That album sucks." And I just think to myself, like, "Are you
Yeah.
crazy?" Or Hold Your Fire is fantastic, but
It's just interesting because I'm that kind of person where someone will say to me, "Oh, that kind of track or that album or whatever, I didn't really care for it or whatever. Don't listen to it or whatever." That actually gives me more of an incentive to go and listen to it, just because I got to see for myself and
yeah,
figure out what the whole thing's going on. So and Hold Your Fire became one of my very favorites. Even though there are there's so much music in their catalog, but I remember going through this, preparing for this, and I was thinking to myself, it was between Presto and Hold Your Fire, and I was going, man, what do I do? It was a really tough decision, but I had to give it to Presto because there are so many songs. As Kira said, songs like Available Light is one of my absolute favorites.
yeah, same.
And the past, War Paint, Scars, that whole track listing is awesome. So.
Now, if you were to suggest Hold Your Fire, would you tell them to skip Taishan?
You know what? For me personally, I find that to be a hidden gem. I've realized that with Rush, the reoccurring theme is progression and not being afraid to explore beyond the boundaries of what's comfortable. And I found that track to be a really deep track, and that was probably the song that I played the most out of Hold Your Fire, believe it or not. I just found that whole influence of Neil's experience going to China and everything very, it was just very warming. So that kind of, that spoke to me. Yeah.
In the confession, I do not like the flute at all.
I love Taishan. I mean, if you've been following the first Rush fantasy draft, listen, the winning team, me, had Taishan on it. That's all I'm going to say. Taishan, the team with Taishan won the first ever Rush fantasy draft.
Yeah. Since we're on the whole topic of since we've been discussing Hold Your Fire and Presto so much, I think the thing with Hold Your Fire and Presto, I think, are two of the most interesting albums in the discography, not because of the music on them, but because of how the fan base perceives them.
Yes.
When I first entered in like August or whatever, because I was introduced through Cinema Strangiato, I was always told, Hold Your Fire sucks, man. This album sucks, dude. Only good songs, Time Stands Still. No, it's not.
Wow. Yikes.
So good and so many.
I don't want to punch that person in the face.
Hold Your Fire has like become my definitive morning album. I'll be in the shower jamming to Open Secrets, and my little brother's just like there. So good. And Presto, I feel, is the album that everyone's like, I love Presto so much, but no one talks about it. Like, have you noticed that whenever anybody says I love Presto, the only songs they talk about are Show Don't Tell and The Past?
In the past, yeah.
And I mean, not digging those. Those are incredible songs. Like, I've barely seen any discussion about like Chain Lightning, Superconductor, Scars, Available Light, Red Tide,
War Paint.
War Paint 2, so many great songs. Presto is one of my favorites. It's actually like the Presto calendar.
Nice.
There it is. Yeah, I have Presto, which is currently in my CD.
Yeah, I was trying to show that, but I have no idea how to switch my camera.
That's a really good point, though. I never really thought of it like that. It is kind of like the forgotten Rush album, or it's not talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But
sure.
a lot of people seem
It
to like
actually
it.
used to be my favorite for a while.
Same here.
So,
And like the thing with Presto, I think a lot of people, they don't give it the credit that it deserves for kind of returning back to the original sound while holding something back.
Yeah.
My dad told me a story. The first time when Presto came out, he was listening to it with his good buddy from grade school, and they were listening to Show Don't Tell, and they were like sitting there, of course, for the intro, just like, what is this? And then, my dad jumps up, he's like, they're back! Presto is such a great return to form, but people don't give it enough credit for that. Like, and I mean, obviously everything has its own identity, but Presto really recollected a lot of the ideas. It felt so refined in so many different ways. Of course, being able to progress with the times, but still be able to stay a Rush. That's why I love Presto so much.
Yeah,
That's
Geddy
true.
Lee's look even changed. Like he got
Yeah.
like the glasses and then the ponytail. It's kind of different. From
Yeah.
what,
Finally puts
Yeah.
on glasses.
Deviating from the norm.
From the norm.
And yeah. And
Really quick, can I just say something? In the mid '80s, I absolutely love Neil's like little brie that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
In the big money video, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, because in like you go back and like watch like the Lock and Key video, and that's when like
Yeah.
the raccoon hair was there, the raccoon hat.
yeah.
And then yeah, and that's when he switched it up. But all right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining us on this episode of Rush Roundtable. You're welcome to come back and talk more Rush with us. But to all those watching, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on episode 26. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.